So before I get into the next turn of Saratoga, I wanted to talk about one of the aspects of the game that makes it a little bit difficult to solitaire, um, and it is that when you have a close combat, you need to choose a tactic to use, and the defender will choose a tactic to use, and then you use a matrix to find out how they interact with each other, and you get a die roll modifier for the combat. So of course the problem is you're not supposed to know what the offense isn't supposed to know what the defense is picking. The defense isn't supposed to know what the offense is picking, and it's very hard to do that as a solitaire player, especially once you understand the interactions. It gets more difficult. But basically, the way it works, there are four basic tactics that you can use in a combat: skirmish, attack in echelon, stand fast, and withdraw. So, and then these are indexed on a matrix to give you a +1 or a 0 or a -1 die roll modifier. Now, if you have a general that is part of this battle, you get two more selections to pick from: frontal assault or commit reserve. And then if you have a leader and you also have an open flank, you now have two more that you can add in: turn the flank and refuse the flank. But the bottom line, when you cross-index this matrix, it basically gives you anywhere from a +1, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. I mean, that's basically the extent of the die roll modifiers. And so, I mean, you could make a case that it can come out in the wash. Although if one side has a leader and an open flank, I mean, they have a lot better odds of picking something that you can't really counter. But it ends up playing out, even though it's interesting, it plays out like rock, paper, and scissors. And it's just it's not the best thing for a solitaire player. Now, they have in C3I come out with some, an algorithm to kind of go through, what you might like to, what the circumstances are, and you roll the dice and figure out, what you're going to end up selecting as a tactic. And while that's all very interesting, I'm just not that enamored with that. And my suspension of disbelief doesn't work enough to really want to use that. And I'm much more happy to just zero that out or use it very sparingly when I think that there's an occasion that it really requires it. So I wanted to talk about that. A second thing I want to talk about is some of the detail that the combat results table puts in the game. And there's a lot of flavor that comes out, even though it's a plus-minus to kind of neutralize you. It does remind you of factors that are going into the battle that you won't see if you just roll the dice straight up. And so for the attacker, for example, you have the morale value of the lead unit will affect the die roll. If you have a commanding leader involved in the combat, that will affect it. If you have a defending unit that's a rifle unit, there is an effect. If a defending unit is disrupted or shattered in their morale state, you have a die roll modifier. If you're attacking a dragoon or a mounted unit, you have a modifier. If you're attacking militia and not regulars, you have a modifier. If you've surrounded the enemy, you have a modifier. If the enemy has ammo depletion, you have a modifier. So these are all really, excellent details that can be factored in. The defender gets the same benefits. They have the lead unit morale. They have the commander, if they have one. And if an attacking unit is a rifle unit, there's a modifier. If the attacking units are all militia without any regulars, there's a modifier. If the attackers are all attacking across a creek or attacking into fieldworks or attacking upslope or across a ravine, or if the attacker happens to be surrounded but he's attacking out of it, or if the attacker has depletion. So all of these modify that die roll on the combat results table. And then in addition, whatever the end result is of that tactic choices, rock, paper, and scissors. So I don't think that matters that much overall, and I tend to not use it. So I just wanted to comment on that for the the rules aspects of this game that make it different. Anyway, on to the turn. So now we're at turn 4 in Saratoga, and this is the GMT game from the Battles of the American Revolution series. So turn 4 represents the 11 o'clock hour turn, and this time the British wins the initiative die roll. There is no more weather die rolls. It's going to remain clear for the rest of the day. No more fog chances or anything like that. And also, there are no more reinforcements. The last reinforcements came in on turn 3. So the British go first, and Brigadier General Fraser's troops, as you can see in the picture, advance along their planned route on the western flank. And he has the Grenadiers and Rangers as the vanguard of his force. And you can see some light troops are actually off the path and marching right through the woods because they have a movement advantage being light troops. Then in the next picture, you see General Burgoyne and the Fighting Ninth are making it all the way to the bridge, and they're able to cross the Great Ravine, headed toward the Patriots' position. And then in this next picture, on the river road, you see Baron von Riesendel crossing the Wilbur Basin with the 2nd Chasseurs and another regiment. And you'll note the map shows that the bridge is out, so the movement across this is going to take more movement points or more time than would normally be expected. Then there's still no contact, so we go to the American part of the turn. And as shown in the picture, you can see Colonel Morgan bypasses the Freeman farm and then moves into the wooded area along the tracks to the west. And then Major Dearborn's regiment is to his flank and moves into the woods on the track at the northern end of the farm. Some might think that these units are quite far forward, and I will admit, I guess they are. I'm not sure that that was the best idea, but we'll see how it plays out. Then also the 1st New Hampshire Regiment passes past the Chapman Farm and takes up a position on the southern side of the middle branch. You can see that in the picture. There is still no contact, but you can imagine the American scouts are probably reporting that there looks like a 3-pronged approach by British and Brunswick forces that are going to be engaging them soon. Anyway, that wraps up turn 4. Stay tuned if you'd like to see what happens on turn 5 in Saratoga.